this computer. Okay, welcome everybody. So I was just talking to Stephanie. So a couple things about the project management assignment. First of all, Stephanie had trouble making the software I recommended work on her Macintosh, which I don't have a Mac to try it out on, so I don't doubt that. So so she found it was on Google Drive, right?
Well, I found it on a website, but I just downloaded a template that opened up into Google Drive, into Google Sheets, and I used that instead.
Yeah. Good. So I wrote down the name of it. It's so for those of you who have a Mac and my software is not where my recommended software is not working on, it's perfectly okay to use other software, including, I mean, here's what's just called a Gantt chart template, right? And it was off of, right? It was off the spreadsheet off Google Drive, right? And it turns it into a nice little Gantt chart. And the beauty of that is once you enter in the times and the dates and predecessors, right, it just figures it all out for you, right? So that's kind of nice. How you doing, Denise? So we were just talking about what Stephanie did used for the project management, not the one I recommended because she has a Macintosh and wouldn't run on it. She was using for her Mac, she was using one off the Google Drive. It's called Gantt chart template off the Google spreadsheets. So if you do have a Mac, you might want to try that. And or if you just want to try that one, perfectly fine. So you don't have to use the Gantt chart software and the stuff I recommended. I think I said that in the video. If you find a different software or you have access to something else, feel free to use that.
And what did you use for Google?
Well, I got it off of not a Google Sheets. I found it off another website and downloaded a template that opened up into Google Sheets. So it was just a template, and then I could load in my things and change the things around, and then it repopulated like the days, how long it will take, and like did the little chart on the side of, you know, the days of the week and how long that would last.
Duration bar, yeah.
Yeah, I can send it.
Yeah.
If you, I don't know how to get your email address.
Send it to me and I'll forward it to everybody.
Okay,
awesome.
I'll email it. Yeah.
Yeah, send it to me and forward it to everybody. And we'll do that right away. We'll do it tonight yet and take care of it. Yeah, it's kind of nice having it on the Google Drive like that so you can better support it and all that. It's nice being able to use those so you can have predecessors, first this, then this, right? I always joke, right, when you're getting dressed. First socks, then shoes. So you can show all those predecessors you have to do, and this task has to be finished before this task starts and all of that. So it's handy for that. What I was telling Stephanie in my emails to her was that, so she's this thing they're scheduling, right? She's doing for, and then I said, well, then you can reuse it. The next time you have a similar to, you can start with that schedule. And even if you don't do all the tasks in there, it gives you a good place to start. It's way better than starting at zero, right? 80% finish is far better than nothing. And so it helps you remember to do things. It helps you remember, you know, all the steps involved and all of that. So it's better than a checklist. It's kind of like a checklist, but it's better than a checklist because all these things, because they're already sequenced for you, right? You have to do them in this order and that kind of thing. Or maybe you don't care if you do it in this order. So it's nice from that standpoint. And as you keep doing it, it'll get better, right? I know these companies that build, like construction companies, that build the same things over and over again, they get really good at their schedules. They've got all these what ifs in them, and they know what to do. And the schedules, they basically, I know they do this all the time. They charge the customer for making a schedule, but the schedules already exist, right? So that's part of their profit margin. I mean, they do that over and over again. And they just use, it's 80% done. They just modify it for that particular customer, and then they're off and running. Really helps them. Even at when I used to make like radios, police radios for a living, we had a generic radio development schedule. It was sort of generic for any type of radio, and then for your design, your particular project, you would take that generic one and modify it. Okay, somebody put in 8 weeks for this, but we think we can do it in 6, so just change it to 6, which is far better than having to remember that step and all the predecessors and all that. So it was really helped you make not only quicker to make schedules, but they tended to be more accurate because you thought about, you had other people's inputs and you tended to think about things that were on there more. So I really like that. So Stephanie was saying she did this for something to make it look a little more professional and more organized, right? Which is exactly why I put this module into this class. It doesn't seem, you know, it's not normally in a class like this would you do a little project management activity, but for a couple of reasons. Everybody does project management at some point or another, and if you're organizing change, having a schedule is a good thing to help you do that with, right? And it just makes you look more organized, makes you look more professional. So I think I think that's a good priority. A number of students in this class have told me that's one of the big takeaways from this class. They really enjoyed figuring out how to do that. So, so there's two. If you haven't watched it, right, there's two videos, right? There's a general one on there's only one link, but when you click on the blue link, it takes you to both videos. The first one is general project management stuff, right? So if you don't know anything about project management, there you go. It's sort of project management in 20 minutes kind of thing, right? And then the second one shows you how to use this software that I recommended. The beauty of it is most of those softwares are the same. The thing I wanted to mention was that on Stephanie, she had many tasks in one day, and it kind of looked like a to-do list as opposed to a schedule where they're one after the other. And so what I suggested was go in and find out how to do days to hours, right? So you can do that with all scheduling software. You can change any durations you want. So if it's a really long schedule, right, like your 4 years of college, you might want to do semesters or quarters of the year, right? If something really happens fast, I mean, computer engineers do it in milliseconds, right? I mean, you can have things happening really, really fast too. So feel free to change the duration and the schedule as fits your needs, whatever that happens to be. Most scheduling software, like if you did hours, it might default to an 8-hour day or it might not. So if it defaults to a 24-hour day, like, oh, no, we're not working 24 hours. Start at 8 a.m., ends at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. with an hour at lunch. You can do that with almost every scheduling software. So you can go in and set the schedule. You can also put in whether you're working weekends or not, and you can actually go in and insert holidays. So 4th of July, maybe 3rd and 4th of July, everybody's off, so you can put those days in as holidays so the scheduling software knows not to schedule any activity for you. And sometimes that's a good thing because you know how people get behind sometimes. If you got a couple extra days scheduled be off, if it hits the fan, you can work those days and make up for lost time. So scheduling software is getting better and better and more flexible, and it can meet your needs. You can also schedule people to work at like 80% instead of most people can't work at one task 100% of the time, right? They got to go to staff meeting, they got to do this, they got to do that, right? So you can schedule how much of their day they're going to be on the project. So if they need to get 4 hours of work done, right, they might not be able to do that in 4 hours of work time, but it might take them 6 hours of work time because they got these other distractions going on. And that's pretty common. So just knowing the scheduling software can do that. It's really useful. And if you're stuck, I would suggest go right to YouTube. Most of these companies that make this software have lots of YouTube tutorials out there, and they'll walk you through it. And so just if you're thinking there must be a way to do this, absolutely, there almost for sure is. Just go to YouTube, and almost always it's right there. So really useful stuff. I make all my business students learn how to do this now. And by the way, University of Lynchburg is starting up a certification in project management. So we're going to launch that this fall. You take 4 master's level classes and you get this certification in project management. So we've had a number of people around industry. They're not interested in the full up MBA or nonprofit leadership masters, but they really want to get good at scheduling. So we're going to offer this. And then what we're probably going to do, not for sure, but sort of the plan is to, for the MBA program, because I'm the director, take a bunch of the basic classes in the MBA and then take these 4 project management classes and put them on like a specialty. So it's a MBA in project management. Like now we have an MBA with a concentration in cybersecurity. We're going to make another one, MBA with a concentration in project management. So, and if you ever look at like Glassdoor.com, there's always lots of jobs in project management. So always a good skill to have. Has anybody else tried it and got stuck or has some issues?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a Mac too, and I had difficulty with the site that you mentioned, but then I figured it out. I did get it to.
Oh, you good to go? Okay, good.
Yeah.
The software you mentioned, you can actually. I just was on the Apple website. You can actually buy it for $10.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I actually found it rather easy. I thought it was perfect because as I started to do it, it's like, oh, I could do this for. Oh, I could also do this for. So I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's not that difficult to learn. It looks really good too. I'm telling you, when you put that up into you're presenting your project, you put up, here's our schedule, or you just stick it to the wall of your cubicle or your office or whatever, right? It just adds a lot of professionalism and organization. So people don't even know what project you're working on, but just seeing that makes you look really good, I think. It just you feel like the person's in control, right? Right? A lot of people
I'll take it.
What's that? Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, right, exactly, right? And if you want to show your boss how overworked you are, put up like 6 of them, right? So this is kind of balls I'm juggling here, right? And I'm bouncing back and forth, but I'm doing a good job staying organized. But look at all the stuff I got going on. And maybe you made your point, right? Maybe they don't care. I don't know. I can't help you if they don't care. At least you can try to make your point. So it's really useful for that kind of stuff. So people that work on any kind of changes and developing new things use a lot of project scheduling. Now, there is another type of project management called critical path, where you really look at the interdependencies and you try to figure out which tasks are the long pole in the tent. Like, what's the driving thing you have to do, right? So, for instance, if your project is driving, if your project is cooking Thanksgiving dinner, right? Usually the main thing is to do what? Got to get the turkey in the oven at a certain time, or nothing else matters, right? So, and sometimes I use that Thanksgiving as a project management exercise, although my undergrad students don't know how to do it, but the other ones seem to do better. But so there are project management techniques that can help you figure out which ones are the critical tasks, which ones are driving the finish date, and those are the ones you have to pay attention to very, very closely, because if that task is late, everything is late. Like if you're building a house, if you're gonna after you do the electrical wiring, before you put the drywall up, you have to have the electrical inspector, right? The city inspector, whoever has to come check the wiring. So you can't cover it up with drywall because they'll make you take it off, right? So getting the inspector there on the right day is critical. Otherwise, the house sits there waiting because you can't do the walls until they inspect the electrical and the plumbing both, right? So those are kind of like key tasks. And if for some reason that person's 3 days late, more than likely you're going to finish the house 3 days late, because that's a pacing item. So there's a lot to project management, and you can either save an organization a lot of time, which usually means a lot of money, or the other way around, cost them a lot of time and cost them a lot of money. So as you can tell, I used to be a project manager and teach it, so I think it's a really useful skill to have in an organization.
Lee?
Yeah.
I worked on campaigns for a long time, and this sounds like a fabulous tool. One of the things I'm thinking about is how do you manage volunteers? Because, that's always a challenge in our kind of work. Yep. When you're trying to get volunteers to do stuff, you put it on, you treat them like an employee, but they're really not an employee. So yeah. Any thoughts on that? Or
from a scheduling standpoint, if you make a good schedule, like you're going to schedule numerous campaigns and the events that are going on, at least then you can get to your volunteers and let them know with a lot of lead time when you're going to need their help, or could they help on these dates, right? What you can't, or what's less likely you can do is if they come up and say, oh, hey, my daughter just had a baby, I'm out, right? And they don't show up for you, right?
But yeah, okay.
Right? Yeah. Hey, what are you going to do? Fire them, right? So
it happens. Yeah.
What you can do is kind of keep track of your pool of resources then, and maybe there's other resources you can dip into cover for them, right? But to be honest, project management is not going to help a whole lot when you have people bail on you at the last minute. It only helps, but it does help you if you want to reschedule stuff so you can keep track of multiple projects and multiple campaigns where you don't overlap events, right? There's other ways to do that, of course, but they can kind of help you get a handle on that. But yeah, the problem of volunteers flaking on you at the last minute, that's a tough one. It really is. It's more of a motivational issue than a project management issue, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
And
it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often. Usually once people get that committed, it's kind of like 30% of the people are going to really work hard and do everything they possibly can. Another 30% are like, yeah, I'm kind of with you. And then there's what my friend used to call the inert third.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're on the list, but they may not be doing much. But
I always thought that the earlier you can get them to do something, anything, so they have some skin in the game, the less likely they are to walk away from it.
Yes, get them to feel ownership. Yes. Yeah.
Right, something like that, right. And also, if you make a schedule and if you put their name on a task, that helps too, right? So-and-so's going to do this. So-and-so's going to organize that. And not like we're going to meet and they're going to hope to slide away from doing this because they're getting busy, but But if you put their name on a task on a schedule, right, and then they're more likely to follow through. Now, when I was at engineering, we would have engineering managers. Engineering managers control the engineer's time, right? They make the assignments, right? Right here, you're going to work on this, and you're going to work on that, and we're going to give you her to work on your project and all that. But sometimes the engineering managers won't deliver on the promised resources, and then you're in trouble, right? So the trick we did was we would make the schedule, show when their engineer was working on your project, and then we'd make the engineering manager sign the schedule. So make it a contract.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we call that a resource contract. You're promising this engineer, she's going to be here on these dates to work on these things. And if she can't make it for some reason, you have a pool. We want somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And we don't care who, as long as they can do the job. But you're the engineering manager. It's your job to pick somebody who can do it. So you make the engineering manager. You make the manager also responsible for getting that task done that their department is responsible for, not just that person. So if that person
That's good.
I've had them fire that person, right? It's like, you fired my person to come to the project. Well, they had to go. Like, okay, then who? I made the manager do it one time, right? I'm like, well, who's your person going to work on my project? And they said, I don't have one. And I said, well, that's unacceptable. We have this new product.
It's you.
It's you. And I said, who fired them? They finally said, I did. And I said, okay, then it's you. And I made it work on the project for 2 weeks until he found somebody. Yeah. So that's if you make them sign it. Yeah, we called it a resource contract.
I like that.
Sign it. Yeah. Now you can't quite hold volunteers' feet to the fire that way, but it worked. That's not a bad way to do it. If you're going to lay out all these people, and these people on your project, often they don't work for you. They work for different parts of the organization. Have their bosses sign up for, yeah, this is a good plan and you can do it. Worst case scenario, it blows up in your face, right? This project doesn't go off. It's a wreck. Whatever. We just didn't know what we were getting into, right? The more signatures you have on there that everybody thought it was a good plan, the less people are to plug your way, because they all signed it that they thought it was a good plan and a doable thing. Like, well, I guess we all learned a lesson, as opposed to, boy, Schindler really screwed up on that one. How did he even get in here? He should have known better, right? Well, they signed it too, so they're much less likely to sling any mud your way. So they'll be far more sympathetic, trust me. Right. So that's another reason for doing it. So the more people you get to buy in and sign off on it, including your boss, right, the better.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's sort of my suggestion, right? Get the people that you're going to deliver to sign off. The people that are going to give you help sign off on it. The more signatures you can get out, better. Not just see it, but sign off on it, right? It makes a big difference when they sign it. People forget very quickly about when they saw it or what they said or whatever. So, yeah, that's my suggestion there. I got to be honest.
I like
don't
that.
do it, but if I think the more riskier I think it is, the more liable I am to do that. Have people sign off on it. Like I'll even tell, we don't know this is going. Sometimes in engineering, we're doing like research. We thought it might not work, right? So we would say right in there, this has a less than 50-50 chance of working it, and we made everybody sign up, and they understood that. So they can't Monday morning quarterback you and say, you dropped the ball. How did you not know this kind of stuff? So if you're going to do something that's kind of risky, I would also do that. Show that management understood the risk. Everybody agreed. Your job was to run the project and try to make it successful. Your job wasn't do or die and make it successful. Right? So you can actually run a successful project, including like, the joke was we proved what doesn't work, right? We've had a successful project. We've experimented this thing and we proved what doesn't work. And then that's sort of a joke, but it's kind of true at the same time. So we take it from that route. So good question. A lot of human interaction to make a project happen, because often you're not their boss, right? You can only cajole them or whatever it takes to get them to do things. I used to trade a lot of favors, all kinds of stuff to get people to do stuff. So, and another thing you can do at the beginning of a project, get the most important person you can to come to the project kickoff meeting and say how important the project is to the organization. That people are much in their priorities of the things they need to do from day to day, it'll stack up higher because they know this big boss. This is important to this boss, and they'll be checking in on it or whatever. So, yeah, drag them. Yeah, even if they can't stay the whole meeting, have them come in for the first 10 minutes. Talk about the project, how important it is, how important everybody is working on the project, all of that. Just give a good pat on the back and sort of raise the level of awareness to it. That helps a lot. So, Just drag him in. Like, why do you need me for? You're the project manager. And it's like when you introduce a speaker, right? You need somebody important to introduce the speaker. You need them to introduce you and introduce the project. It helps a lot, particularly if they're putting up the money for it. Helps
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, well, so I've had a few emails, right? I'll keep checking emails almost daily here. If anybody's got any problems. A couple of people have been worried about being a day or two late on assignments, right? Yeah, I've told somebody, summer rules, right? To me, I mean, I know some people are sticklers on dates. Me, not so much. And even though I'm a project manager, which delivery was everything, yeah, it's the summer, right? So if you're a day or two late, don't sweat it. If you're going to be more than that, just shoot me an email. I've had a couple people with issues, right? Or either Wi-Fi issues or health issues or whatever. If you're a day or two late, don't sweat it. It's not a big problem. I haven't taken off for anybody for being late on anything yet. So
I do have a question.
What's that?
I have a question. Can you kind of touch off on the final case analysis?
Yep. So that's a short little case. It's in the textbook. It's a couple pages long, and it's and I'm going to ask you a couple specific questions on there. You just answer those, and I forget how long I was looking for a response. It's not huge.
It says 4 to 5.
Yep, 4 to 5. That's double spaced.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So just the things that just read the question carefully. Make sure you cover all those points. That's my best advice for you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good question. Anything else? All right. Well, I'll see.
Well, I have one question.
Yeah.
So if we have any technical problems or whatever, we should just email you or?
Yes. Like for some reason, Moodle's down again. Because
I noticed that.
Right?
I'm on it right now.
I was going to say I'm on it as well.
If you can, submit it later because it stays on Moodle for a long time, and for accreditation, we know where your assignment is, and I don't have to dig it out of my email and all that. But yeah, if you're ever uncomfortable, for some reason Moodle's giving you a hard time, just email it right to me, and then I'll always have a record of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that's true for any class you ever take online. Yeah, just not sure at all about the bulletin board or the learning system. Just send it right to the professor. But yeah, we've been struggling.
It can be hard though to track down things in your inbox.
What's that?
I always tell my students, I cannot be responsible for things you email to me. Always put it on Moodle.
Yeah. That's why I said do both. If Moodle's down, email it to me, but then put it on Moodle later, right? That way we'll always have a record of it. Yeah. Moodle's very good. It's already pre-sorted. I won't have to lose it or any of that. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right, any other questions? All right. So if you send me that link, Stephanie, then I'll send it out right away for the
I will.
template. All right, everybody, have a good night. Talk to you later.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.